custom works. This is a big day. We're starting another enormous project. This one is going to be awesome. And we are basing it on, I don't think it's going to be any surprise, but it's going to be based on this taxi. So what are we going to do to this taxi? What we're going to do, a little bit like last time, we're going to put the F100 front on this taxi. And it's going to have the cab as well. And you're thinking, well, you've already done that. Well, I've not done this. We're going to make it into like a Luton style, you know, like an Airstream caravan. It's going to be like an Airstream caravan on the back. And it's going to be high. It's going to come all the way back. We're going to extend the chassis back to here. It's going to be huge. All of this is going to look like an Airstream caravan. Everything on the front is going to look like the WTF 100, except we're going to have like some rust and patina up there, and all the back of this is going to look like polished aluminium. It's going to have a cool Art Deco rear. In fact, you know what? It's going to look like this. And somewhere here or somewhere there, you should see a sketch of just how it's going to look. Now this is a project that it's going to be a catering van when it's done, but this is going to be a great way to build an amazing camper. You know, you want that whole van life thing, but you want something cooler than a Volkswagen. This is going to be it. So this is going to have 240 power from a generator, so it's just going to have normal plug sockets in it. It's going to have gas supply. It's going to have water, running water in it. It's going to have all of those things. And also, if you were doing a camper, unlike all your Volkswagens, pretty much everything else, you can't lay widthways. In this, when we've widened the body out and done those big jewellery wheels on the back, you'd be able to lay across. So you could just buy a folding bed from IKEA and that would fit straight in. You're going to be a lot more comfortable and it's going to be a lot bigger, a lot better. But this is going to be how to go from a taxi to a cool 50s truck with that Airstream back that you could use as a catering van or a camper van. Okay then, so let's strip the taxi down. Okay then, so things are going really well. We've got a lot of the taxi off. We've got the roof, back doors, it's all cut down and I'm just jacking up the body off the chassis and hopefully we're just going to roll it off the back of the taxi. Now, I've not shown every detail of taking this body off because if you go back in time, you can see all that. I've done all this before and you don't really want to see it again, do you? But the back of this is going to be totally different. It's not going to be a pickup truck, it's going to be a cool streamliner van. So all that bit will be new, but for now, all this bit, you've seen it before. But anyway, let's chuck the back off, that should be pretty cool. So that's it. The body is off. We'll have to cut this up and get it out of here. One thing on this, unbelievable how good this taxi is underneath. Like, yeah, it's been patched up a bit. But these are normally just disintegrated. It's in such good condition, this taxi. For once, I'm only working with some second-hand junk, not totally rubbish second-hand junk. I think this is going to come off good. It's going to be it's a good project. Great base for a project. Okay then, so the taxi, as you can see, wow, it is really stripped down. We've got the whole back off, all the chassis exposed now. We've just got to get this seat out and, you know, then it will be time to start putting stuff on and maybe getting a bit of strength back in here. But yeah, all came to bits really good, and it's all just ready to build something really cool on now. Right, and so on this truck, what I'm going to be doing is it's going to have like a Luton top to it. So the roof will come to here. I'll overshoot a little bit now, come up and back. So we've got the headroom for people to stand inside, cooking and making their food. So what I'm going to do, I've been thinking about how I'm going to get around the roof. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to cut this whole roof skin off. So I'm going to cut in line with the drip rail, and then I've marked around there above the screen, remove that whole roof skin. So what I'm going to do, once the roof's off, we'll attach a piece of marine ply onto there, and we'll fibreglass that in and brace it. And then we've got the perfect base to build the rest of the roof from, because this curved roof is just always going to be in the way. You're never going to see it again. And to mount to all of this, it's just too difficult. So off with the roof. I do realise that, yes, I say I'm building it around a taxi, and more I remove bits of the taxi, like there's not a lot of it left now, and once the roof's off there's going to be even less. But anyway, let's get the saw out. No, let's not get the saw out first. First off, I'll put a piece of bracing in just to hold the two sides of the taxi when the roof's off. So I'll do that, now chop the roof off. Like I say, on this truck there's going to be a lot that we did on the other truck, but I'm not going to show you, but just quickly, just to get you sort of up to date with the build. So inside, I've got the seats in, we've got the old school steering wheel on there, and all that's metal frame under there, all welded down to the chassis. We've also built this frame all the way around the back. When you do cut this much out of a car, even though it's a fully chassis car, you've got to put some rigidity back in there, or else doors will never fit, just things will never be right, be all rattly, won't be any good. So, I've done all those bits. Okay then, so on this, this is going to have a lot of stuff on the back, because this is going to be a big van, big jewellery van. What we're going to have to do is beef up this taxi suspension. Taxi just comes with this sort of twin leaf spring, and it's okay, but I've built a van before and it can get a little bit overly wallowy. So what are we going to do to stop that? We're going to fit these airbags. So these are bags that are just meant for on the back of like a transit van, so it can carry a bit more weight, and these will carry up to 4 tonne. So we've got to mount them. So this is the kit they came with, and yeah, funnily enough, this isn't a transit, but it doesn't matter. We've got the bags, and so what we need to do is make some mountings to mount this to there. So first thought you think, well, it seems like a real nightmare of a job, they've got to be really strong, but it's not so bad. What I've done, I started with, as very often I started with cardboard, and I started to sketch out some ideas. So first off, we need a bracket. The axle's round, we need a flat sort of surface. So I've come up with this, and that will fit on there, and it will go there, and that will hold this base plate somewhere there, like that. So on this side, we've got these brake lines, and we've got to go over them. So rather than moving the brake lines, and this is a taxi, it's a vehicle I work on quite often, I don't want to ever have to move anything, so I've made this so it just fits neatly over there, so that the plate can weld onto there, and we don't have to mess about with anything else. So that holds that, and then at the top we'll have, let's just imagine that's on there on its plate. We'll have something, it will be higher than that actually, it will hold it quite a bit off the axle. Then we'll have this plate here that will bolt to, and this will have under here, this will have some angle brackets going right down to the chassis there, so these fuel lines will be moved, and in there there'll be a wedge there, so it'll be welded all the way around, very strong, and that will, when that's inflates, it'll push the axle down and raise the van up. So then, cardboard and sketches are all very good, but how are we going to make these into the 9mm plate that we want? Like, I don't want to be cutting this out of 9mm plate with the angle grinder. So we need to go into the office and go to the computer. So we drew these up in cardboard, and then using the tape measure and the vernier, I've measured all these things. And I've drawn them up on the screen here. So as we can see, there's that. I'm going to need 4 of them, all in 8mm. There's this, and this has got the holes that correspond to this, which is the top of the airbag. So you've got the 4 mounting holes, and that's where the air goes in. So we've got those, and also we've got that on the bottom one. And then, like I say, we've got these sort of gusset plates, angles, that are going to strengthen the top mount up. I've got all the bits back from the laser cutters, all the bits that are going to make all the brackets that are going to hold these airbags in place. So here they all are. We have top mount, bottom mount, gusset brackets, axle mounts, and a little sort of slither. And just to show you what we're going to be doing, it's going to look like this when it's done. So this one I've already welded up. You know, like this little slither goes in there just to take up the gap. These brackets weld on there, bend round, make that nice and stiff. And at the bottom we've got the square wood bracket, and of course they sit onto the axle like that. So it's all pretty good. Now then, what I'm doing here is just fitting assister bags. So when this is built, this is going to be really low, because I'm going to channel the body over the chassis. So it will look like it sits low, and I want it to ride at this height, which I'm thinking, because the body's off at the moment, this is just above standard height. So with normal taxi weight on it, this would go down a little bit, but with what I'm going to put on it, which is considerably more, it would go down a little bit more. But at no point is the bag going to bottom out, and I can always lift to this point, and you know, the bag's just at its normal height, but it will go a couple of inches higher than this if we ever need to get over a really big speed bump, anything like that. The perfect in between. Probably if you wanted to slam your car, you're going to want the car down, fit the bags, and then have it lift up. But I don't want it to be any lower than the taxi geometry is standard. I want it just to be like this when it's driving, and I'll set everything up so this is the driving height. Right, so what we're going to be doing here is, it's all solid, really solid. This taxi chassis always are, but I've got to clean all this off, because I can't weld to this crap. So here we go, let's clean it off. I'm going to bolt this top plate to the top of the bag. You'll notice in this top plate there's a hole here, and that's so that the air can go in and out, and I'm going on the top just because I can. You could come out the bottom, but I'm going to come out the top here because I've got room to, and I can, and it keeps everything nice and clean on that side. So let's get this bolted up. We're going to drop this in, it's going to sit there, sits half on and half off the chassis there, so we can get a nice weld down there. We've got that little fillet piece, but for now what we're going to do, we're going to tack this on, and we're going to tack it in this corner with a nice big tack, so that what we can do then is we can adjust that top plate around to get it dead square, and so it's in the right position before we weld anything more. Anything like this, tack stuff in a place you can then grind it off. Never put a tack on where you can't get the grinder, because really things like this sometimes need a bit of adjustment, and you know, you can put a weld on where you can never get to it. It can cause a lot of trouble. And so that is tacked in place. So now what I'm going to do, just by eye, I'm going to tap it until everything looks level and it looks in its right position. I'm pretty pleased that that's level, and what I'm going to do now is just put a few more tacks on this, so that this piece that I measured up in cardboard and then had laser cut can fit in there, and then at the final I can seam weld all of that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to step this off halfway so I can get good penetration in the weld along there. So I'm just going to tack that on. Good enough for now, and let's get the bottom mount on. So what I'm going to be doing now is putting these brackets that fit around the axle and welding them to the bottom of this plate. And that cantilevers this out over the back of the axle where there's a nice amount of room. I don't have to move my shock or anything. Now notice I've cut this section out here, and I did it on both sides, and it's because the brake line runs here. Now I'll probably do a few of these all on taxis, and they always have the brake line there. So what I don't want to do is have to reroute the brakes every time I do it. So what I will do is put that in there, and then I will weld it there, and this bridges over this brake line nicely, and it does so on the other side as well. That's it, all these brackets are tacked into place now. The airbag looks like it's nice straight up and down, not in twist or anything. And all there is to do now is just to seam weld all of this, but first I'm going to remove the airbag just in case. I think tacking around an airbag's probably okay, but I think actually doing the full weld might be a little bit full harder. So here we go. All welded, plenty of penetration, nice big welds, and that should be super strong. So that is it for another week. Join us next time when there's going to be loads more of what I'm calling the meat wagon. Loads more meat wagon, loads more tech, loads more workshop stuff. Join us next time. It's going to be awesome. And in the meantime, don't forget to press the subscribe button, press the like button, comment down below, and also press that bell icon to get regular updates of more custom works. Brilliant. Until then, thank you very much and good night.